Well, good morning. And it's Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers. And Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you've had a wonderful, wonderful festive season. It's the 8th of January. It's Sunday, the 8th of January, 2023. And I resume the Dante Alighieri project podcasts for me, because on the 18th of December I couldn't. I went away. And then the 25th was was obviously a Christmas Day, and on the 1st of January, the New Year. So I've taken 3 weeks off, and I'm resuming on with Canto 22, and it's also program 62 of the Dante Alighieri series. So I hope you come back to me every Sunday, and welcome to Sunda Lombardi, a very faithful person who follows me whenever I go online. It's wonderful to be supported in this way. And I mention your name, of course, if you come on when I'm live, because of the support you give me. And thank you very much. So, Happy New Year once again. Buon anno e buona fortuna. And there's a song that I did do with Rino and Dora Marchese. And I'll be playing some of these in honor of the fact that for 3 weeks I did not do the Dante podcasts as usual. So here we go. This is Canto 22. And I've got a few more minutes for my introduction. As you know, I do a 5-minute introduction where I talk about anything at all. But today is a very sad day for the Italo-Australian community, the Italian community, the multicultural Australian community, and also Southeast Asian countries, and all sorts of other places where Tony Pantano sang and entertained thousands and thousands and thousands of people over a period which is very long, from a very early age. I'm not quite sure how old he is, about I think about 75, I'm not quite sure, but his dad used to be a good singer too, and his sister. So that's a family of singers that have given so much to the Italo, to our communities here, to the immigrant communities, which have now settled down and become true Aussies, of course, but with an eye always to our past and our identity, and the great history that has given us the culture that we've carried with us over to other parts of the world. So that's the Italian story as well. So Tony Pantano is a great example of a fantastic human being. He was a humble person as well, even though he was surrounded by people all the time. His smile lit up a room. And it was always great to see him. I didn't have much to do with Tony, but he knew me and I knew him. I was there with the Italian Drama Society at Melbourne University, and Rolando Di Bari used to organise some activities, and I can't remember now, but whether it was at the Maya Music Bowl or somewhere else. We had a photo taken of the group of young Italo-Australians who represented the Italian community with songs, and in our case with theatre, with sketches, and the reading of poetry. And I remember very well, because I had a 3-page long poem divided into lots of 4 stanzas of 4 lines, and I did 1, 2, 3, 4. They started laughing all the way, and I forgot my lines, and then I walked off. And but then I proceeded to do 10 straight days with a major part in one of the plays. So that's how it is, and that's why I don't really mind making mistakes, because the mistakes teach you something. And I'll then continue also with the poetry. And, I've had problems here with my computer in the sense that I need to update it beforehand, and I didn't realise I'd taken so much and it's taken so long. So, but regardless of that, I have other ways of bringing you some songs with Dora Arena Marchese. Okay, so it's about 11:30. I've received a phone call from my sister from Queensland. I can't answer her, of course, but I will continue and then I will ring her back. Okay, so here we go. Canto 22 of Dante Alighieri, and also its program repeated 62. So let's have a look now at what the canto is all about. Okay, now Dante, Virgilio, and Statius in English, having been cleansed by an angel of the sin of covetousness, Dante follows Statius and Virgil upward. Kindly, Virgil asks Statius how a wise man like himself ended up doing such lengthy penance for covetousness. Statius explains that he was actually doing penance for wild expense, or prodigality, which is punished in the same section of Purgatory. He also explains that the themes of Virgil's poetry inspired him to become a Christian. However, for fear of persecution, he concealed his faith, for which he also did penance for sloth. Statius and Virgil talk about their favourite pagan poets, most of whom live in limbo with Virgil. As the three continue their climb, they come up a tree with sweet-smelling fruits. Out of the tree comes voices proclaiming examples of temperance, like the biblical Daniel and John the Baptist, both of whom fasted. So in other words, between avarice and all the sins that are close to avarice, and there is the other side of the coin, which is prodigality, which is when you give away too much of what you have. In other words, you're being too generous for your own good, sort of thing. So there is a moral to this. It's the fact that you need a balance between the two, a middle way. So excessive spending is portrayed as being the other side of the coin from covetous hoarding. So when you want everything. The ideal being moderation. Statius would have lived during Emperor Domitian's persecution of Christians in the late 1st century, and his reluctance to identify publicly with his faith is portrayed as a form of insufficient zeal. That's another problem that you have in life, when you're not true to yourself in public. So I'll repeat it. Statius would have lived during Emperor Domitian's persecution of Christians in the late 1st century, and his reluctance to identify publicly with his faith is portrayed as a form of insufficient zeal or sloth. Like Virgil, sloth when you don't want to do something. When you're a bit lazy, that's what it is. Like Virgil, most of the famous classical authors are placed in limbo, the least punitive level of hell, meaning that though they were virtuous, they didn't possess Christian grace. Now, this is an important canto because Purgatory represents, in a way, Dante's own interpretation of his faith, of the Christian faith in the Middle Ages. And as we know, the Christian faith in the Middle Ages became not only spiritually leader, but also temporal leader, and that's caused problems within the empires because the emperor had to submit to the Pope in a temporal way, which is shouldn't be the case. Like we have now, in today's world, we have a clear division between governments of humanities of humanity, and the Pope's leadership in spirituality. So religious leaders shouldn't meddle with politics, with day-to-day politics. They have to follow certain ideological rules of religion. So in other words, they have to find that happy moral middle way, the moderation one. And regardless of what happens in day-to-day living and day-to-day rules by the emperor or by the governments, they have to follow that particular line. So here we're talking about the ideologies all the time, whether it's religious or political, or even amongst ourselves, as individuals, we do have problems in understanding each other. And I must say, I encounter often people who have different opinions from me. Because, welcome to Francis Galla, because, if you are involved in your own day-to-day work and, you have a life that is fulfilling, you're fulfilled in your own ways, and you don't worry about, you worry about your business sort of thing. And my problem has always been that I've always thought of other people, of not even other people as individuals, but other people as groups, as communities. It's because of my experiences from my, even before the university days, when I was working part-time, and I was studying, and I thought, what's this? So Dante himself, coming back to the Purgatorio, explores some of these problems in this canto. So let's have a look what he says. Ok. Già era l'angel dietro a noi rimaso, l'angel che n'avea volti al sesto giro, avendomi dal viso un colpo raso. The P went away. E quei c'hanno a giustizia lor di Siro, detto n'avea beati, e le sue voci con istiunt senz'altro ciò forniro. Istiunt. This istiunt really refers to one of the Beatitudes called Beati quelli che hanno fame e sete di giustizia, perché essi saranno saziati. Okay, that's the istiunt in this canto. You have to read the notes and you have to, know a bit more about this. E io più lieve che per l'altre voci mandava, without the P, as you went up to the next level, he found himself to be lighter inside, when you free up of your own problems. So I repeat, e io più lieve che per l'altre voci mandava, sì che senza alcun labore seguiva in su gli spiriti veloci, quando Virgilio incominciò. So he was following Virgilio and Stazio. Stazio had read the Aeneid of Virgilio. He was a poet himself and admired Virgilio, but he was in Purgatorio and Virgilio was in Limbo. So there's going to be discussions about all this. So Virgilio, talking to Stazio, walking ahead of Dante, says, Amore, acceso di virtù, sempre altro accese, pur che la fiamma sua paresse fora, onde dell'ora che tra noi discese nel limbo dello inferno giovenale, che la tua affezion mi fe palese, mia benevolenza in verso tu fu quale più strinse mai di non vista persona, siccor mi parran corte queste scale. So Virgilio says to Stazio, I would like to know a little bit more about what you're telling me that happened after me, sort of thing. I would have loved to have known what Giovenale said and the other poets about me, about the Aeneid. Ma dimmi, and then he says, but, you're such a rightful man, you're a poet. And poets, Dante puts right at the top of the scale of human activity. Ma dimmi, e come amico mi perdona se troppo sicurtà m'allarga il freno, e come amico mai meco ragiona? Don't forgive me if I'm going to ask you these questions. Come poter trovare dentro al tuo senno loco avarizia, traco tanto senno di quanto per tua cura fosti pieno? So you are so wise, etc. How could this avarice attack you in your spirit so that you would end up in here in purgatorio, even though it's pretty high up, closer to paradise, but still there's penance to be done. Queste parole Stagio, mover fenne un poco, a riso pria, poscia rispose. So Stagio smiled and he said, and he replied, ogni tuo dir d'amor m'è caro cenno. Everything you ever said, Virgilio, mi è caro. I loved it. Veramente più volte appaiono cose che danno a dubitar falsa materia per le vere ragioni che sono nascose. So really, sometimes, you can't see what you can see. It's behind the scenes sort of thing. So you think that I was suffering from avarice. No, I'm going to tell you. La tua dimanda, tuo credere ma vera, essere chi fossi avaro in l'altra vita? Forse per quella cerchia dove io era. Maybe because so many people were avaricious in my time around me, I didn't suffer that at all. I went the other way, in a way. Or sappi che avarizia fu partita troppo da me. Avarice was so far away from me that you wouldn't believe it. E questa dismisura migliaia di lunari hanno punita. And this excessive being on the other side of avarice, in other words, I was so prodigality. When I think so much of other people, I forget about me. That's being prodigal. You sort of, it's a bit of a problem here. E se non fossi che io drizzai mia cura quando io intesi là dove tu chiami, crucciato quasi all'umana natura. Virgilio in his Aeneida said, and I haven't read the Aeneida, but I've got it and I'm going to tackle it one of these days. But I've always heard about the Aeneida and how wise it was. But apparently in the notes that I've read, the Aeneida gave like a prophecy saying that that in the future, the ways of men or humans were treating each other before the arrival of Christ, was going to be overcome by this this godlike, well, this God figure on earth. So we will see another type of ideology for humanity. In other words, where you have to forgive people, whereas before there's vengeance, all the nasty things, if somebody offended you. But I still see some of these things are still there today. So Stasius says, perché non reggi tu, o sacra fame, de loro l'appetito dei mortali, l'appetito dell'oro, l'avarizia che la gente ha, with always this love of material things, and also extreme selfishness. Voltando sentirei le giostre grame, perché non reggi tu, o sacra fame, de loro l'appetito dei mortali? I've written some notes here relating to this. Okay, I'll read that afterwards. So this, this lavishness and avarice both don't have a sense of measure in their appetite for gold, whether to be greedy of it or to give it away in too generous a manner. So you can't just give everything away. That's a wrong thing for an individual. You've got to keep some. So the people who've got a lot of money and cash, and they give some of it away, but not all of it, they're very wise. And rather than keeping everything to themselves, and, in the end, they realize, what's all these temporal things? I've got to look after my spirit, especially when you get to the age I'm at now. a lot of people are worried about the afterlife. And the fact that Tony Pantano went yesterday shows that regardless of what we do in life, regardless of how much we've been loved, etc., we're all going. We all have to look after, we all have to do that ultimate journey in the afterlife. Whether the afterlife is there or not, I mean, I'm a Thomas still, and I'll probably be punished for this. But, you know, I always think maybe the other side, but maybe the doubting is part of the journey as well. It makes you wise, but ultimately faith has to take you over. And you say, I've always tried to avoid mentioning God, this and that, you know, because I think, gee, you know, there are many religions here, there are many, so which is the right one? Is it important? Not really. But if you believe that Christ is God, so be it. And if you deny him, so be it as well. I'm not, you know, that's the way you approach. But Dante doesn't do that. He says that's the ultimate. He says Christ figure on earth is the ultimate. The Trinity is the ultimate, because the Spirit, the Son, in other words, it's a bit more complex, the explanation of the faith, as against saying only there's only one and that's it. And in other words, too clear cut. Too clear cut, that's what a lot of people want. But it's not always like that. It's not always black and white. So a little bit of thinking about all this is a good thing, whether you believe it or not, whether you agree with it or not. So let me go on. Allora mi accorsi che troppo aprir l'ali, poter le mani a spendere e pentemi così di quel che come degli altri mali. I'll repeat it. Allora mi accorsi che troppo aprir l'ali, poter le mani a spendere e pentemi così di quel come degli altri mali. Quanti risorgeranno coi crini scemi per ignoranza, che di questa pecca toglie il penter vivendo e negli estremi. So in other words, how many people aren't even aware of this particular sin of prodigality? E sappia che la colpa che rimbecca per dritta opposizione alcun peccato, con esso insieme qui suo verde secca. So, e sappi che la colpa che rimbecca per dritta opposizione alcun peccato, the opposition of any peccato, the other side, con esso insieme qui suo verde secca. So up here, you know, you get your just rewards. Però se io son tra quella gente stato che piange l'avarizia, per purgarmi, per lo contrario suo, me incontrato. So even though I'm in the average circle of purgatorio, I'm actually being punished for the other side of avarice, which is prodigality. Or quanto tu cantasti le crude armi della doppia trestigia di Giacosta, disse il cantor de bucolici carmi. So this is Nea Virgilio. Per quello che cliò teco lì tasta, non par che ti facesse ancor fedele la fede, senza qual ben far non basta. So Virgilio says, now you lived in the century after Christ, and you are a Christian, but you know, how come this wasn't enough? Se così è, qual sole o quai candele ti stenebraron, sì che tu drizzasti posce di retro al pescator le vele. Okay, so Virgilio wants to know, Stazio, explain to me, you're a Christian, you lived after, you saw the fight in front of you, how come, you know, that's the second question. Ed egli a lui, Stagio, replies, tu prima mi inviasti verso Parnasso, a ber nelle sue grotte, e prima appresso Dio mi illuminasti. So it's your fault, Virgilio. I read your Eneida. You said there's a new there's a new way of looking at humanity after the coming of the Savior. Now, I followed you. I actually became a Christian. Facesti come quei che va di notte, che porta il lume dietro e se non giova, ma dopo sé fa le persone dotte. So in other words, my experience as a Christian, I didn't bring it to light. I sort of had become, the light of my candle was behind me, not in front of me, in front of the public. So understand this. Facesti come quei che va di notte, che porta il lume dietro e se non giova, ma dopo sé fa le persone dotte. Quando dicesti secolo si rinnova, that's what Virgilio said in the Eneide. Torna giustizia e primo tempo umano e progenie cende da ciel nova. So this is what's going to happen. So that's why Virgilio in the Middle Ages was regarded as un indovino. You know, somebody who could tell the future, who could predict predictions. Per te poeta fui, per te cristiano. It was your fault because I followed your advice and you became a Christian. Ma perché veggi me ciò che io disegno, a colorare stenderò la mano. But I'm going to explain to you what happened. Già era al mondo tutto quanto pregno della vera credenza, seminata per i messaggi dell'eterno regno. So everyone, you know, there was, all the Christians were around me, etc., etc. E la parola tua sopra toccata si consonava a nuovi predicanti. Ond'io a visitarli presi usata. So he used to go in the catacombe because the emperor, the mission, was killing the Christians in the Colosseum by the hundreds. You know, whether on the cross or eaten by lions and tigers, etc., etc., etc. So this is a problem that the early Christians had. And that's why there's so many signs coming out of it. So, but I used to visit them. Vennermi poi parendo tanto santi, che quando Domiziano li perseguette, senza mio lagrimar non fur lor pianti. E mentre che di là per me si stette, io li sovvenni e i loro diritti costumi, fer dispregiare a me tutte altre sette. So in other words, I didn't believe anymore in all of the other sects, including, but I was a Christian, but I did not say I am, because there was going to be a punishment, and therefore I didn't want that. So I pretended to be a good Roman citizen. But deep down, this is what people who do revolutions, you know, they don't come out with it, because otherwise, if they come out with it, they get punished, and they will, you know, if Stazio had done that, he would have died, and he wouldn't have written the poems that then we are using today. So, work it out. E prima che io conducessi i greci a fiumi di Tebe, poetando ebbio battesimo, ma per paura chiuso cristian fummi, lungamente mostrando paganesimo. So for too long I showed my pagan beliefs or way of life. E questa tepidezza, this is tepidezza, il quarto cerchio, cerchiar mi fe più che il quarto centesimo. Tu dunque che levato hai il coperchio che m'ascondeva quanto bene io dico, mentre che del salire avemmo soverchio, dimmi. Okay, so Stazio says, now I've told you everything, you've unleashed the coperchio, okay? So I want to know from you, Virgilio, dimmi, dov'è Terenzio nostro amico? Cecilio e Plaute e Varro, se lo sai, dimmi se sono dannate e in qual vico. So tell me, some of these old poets and important people, you know, pre-Roman, pre-Christian and post-Christian times. What happened to them? And he's going to mention quite a lot of people, and I'm not going to explain. So if you want, I've got the Purgatorio there at Insegna. Come and get it. Do yourself a favor and, study Dante for yourself and get all everything else. So I'll repeat now. He wants to know, Cecilio e Plaute e Varro, se lo sai, dimmi se sono dannati e in qual vico. Costoro è perso e io altri assai, rispose il duca mio. Virgilio replies, siamo con quel greco che le muse lattar più che altri mai nel primo cinghio del carcere cieco. And this is the guy who wrote the Odyssea and the Iliade, Omero. Homero was blind. I wrote two universal works in poetry, the first one amongst the Greeks, and then the others followed after him. Spesse fiate ragioniam del monte che sempre ha le nutrice nostre seco. Euripide, Vennosco e Antifonte, Simonide, Agatone e altri più e greci che già di lauro ornar la fronte. The bayleaf, ornar la fronte. You put that reminds me, I actually might, I've got some laurel and bayleaves in the front yard. I think that'll be my next hat for Dante. When I get to Paradiso, though, I won't do it beforehand. Quivi si veggiono delle genti tue, Antigone, dei file e Argia, e Ismene si trista come fue. Vedeisi quella che mostrò Langia, e vi la figlia di Terissia, e Teti, e con le suore sue dei Damia. Tacevansi ambedue già i poeti, di nuovo attenti a riguardar d'intorno, liberi da salire e da pareti. E già le quattro ancelle erano del giorno rimase addietro e la quinta era al temo, drizzando pur in su l'ardente corno, quando il mio duca, io credo che lo stremo le destre spalle volgerne convegna, girando il mondo come far solemo. So here they mention all these people here, both from the Roman and from the Greek history, and from the Roman one, the pre-Christian and post-Roman Empire, poeti, writers. That's the ultimate activity for someone who lives. Of all the activities we can do, following our poetry from early years to for the rest of your life is a good thing. There are a few people who achieve great recognition on earth, but the idea is to remain humble as well, because if you think you are it, you'll be punished for your prodigality or the lack, too much sloth. In other words, too much selfishness. So you don't do anything. So the idea is to help others achieve spiritual success in their own life. Così l'usanza fu li nostra insegna e prendemmo la via men sospetto per l'assentir di quell'anima degna. Elli givan dinanzi e io soletto di retro e ascoltavo i loro sermoni che a poetar mi davano intelletto. So I was following both Virgilio and Dante as we moved towards the next circle. Okay? But I need a drink. Okay. Ma tosto, so as they were moving up, so whatever he heard, Dante, because he came after Virgilio and Stazio, and he still lives, he's got the body, so he can't talk to him about himself like he does the others, but he recognizes his own talent. Dante wasn't a fool, he knew that he was writing something really worthwhile. So this poetry, gave him inspiration. Ma tosto ruppe le dolci ragioni un albero che trovammo in mezza strada, che pomi a odorar soavi e buoni, e come abete in alta si digradi di ramo in ramo, così quello ingiuso, credio perché persona su non vada. So, as we were walking up, there were some trees there, and they emanate a beautiful smell, perfume almost. And, what's this? Dante says, what's going on here? Dal lato onde il cammin nostro era chiuso, cadea dell'alta roccia un liquor chiaro e si spandeva per le foglie suso. I due poeti all'albero s'appressero, e una voce per entro le fronde gridò. And a voice from in between the leaves of these trees that were giving this beautiful, like honey on the various leaves, etc. Più pensava Maria onde fossero le nozze orrevoli e intere, che alla sua bocca cor per voi risponde. So think of Maria, of la Madonna, quando Cristo è andato lì, there's a wedding, and she said to him, bring the good wine out now, don't ignore them. So Christ provided the best of wines. E le romane antiche per lor bere contente furono l'acque, and the Romans, because Christ began to do his miracles, etc., and Rome was given the task of being the leader of the Christian world when Peter went there. E Daniele dispregiò cibo e acquistò savere. Daniele, another one of the ancient pre-Christian people. I'm not quite sure whether he was pre-Christian or during the time of Daniele, terzo esempio di sobrietà, rifiutò il cibo e acquistò la sapienza. E le donne di Roma antica per bere si limitavano all'acqua, di queste erano soddisfatte. Il profeta Daniele, terzo esempio, rifiutò il... So he sort of refused to drink. Because they used to drink a lot, the Romans, but not the women. It wasn't permitted to them to drink, so they had to be satisfied with water. And Daniele followed the example, and therefore he sort of showed temperance. The temperance movement means that you look after yourself by not overcoming your need for too much wine or too much anything. Lo secol primo quant'oro fu bello, in other words, when avarice was everywhere, fe savorose con fame le ghiande e nettere con sete ogni ruscello. So in life we see this great greed everywhere, and one has to think that we cannot live just for this world alone. I think that was the Christian message during the Middle Ages, is that they looked after the spiritual more than the temporal. So just think about it. A lot of the actual teaching comes from, if you're a priest, let's say, obedience, charity, and obedience, charity, and the third one. In other words, what's the third one? Charity is one. So and the poverty as well. They preach that if you're poor, it's good. Well, again, if you follow what what the government tells you, that's good, even if it's bad. So, and you know, all this very deep-seated feelings we have that are regulated from outside. And sometimes we have to think, you know, me le locuste furono le vivande che nodrirono il Battista nel deserto. So he mentions John the Baptist. John the Baptist lived off le locusts, and le vivande che nodrirono il Battista nel deserto, e furono le vivande, what he ate. So in other words, he showed moderation in the use of food. In other words, you know, it's good that, you know, the church imposed every Friday you should be al digiuno, you shouldn't eat too much, once a week. And most religions have that. You know, to diet at least once or twice a week is a good thing. So you showed moderation. So you're neither averse for the food, nor you are prodigal in the sense of having too much and giving it away and encouraging others. So this is, and that's why, perché egli è glorioso e tanto grande quanto per l'Evangelio v'è aperto. So the fact that I did all this was a fantastic thing. It was fantastic, and it gave a direction to people. Now, whilst I was doing all this, my computer went off, and just the minute when I'm about to finish. So I have to go in again. Let me see. Come on. Oh, no, it didn't go. That's all right. Still here. Okay, so that's that. Now, I want to try something. If it works, we'll see what happens. No, it's still not doing it for me. Doesn't matter. I'll have to do something else about entertaining you very soon. So let me just get the other one. I'll put this one here. Okay. And if the computer doesn't agree with me, there's always my other friend here. Let me see. Okay. So that's that. Now, will I go where I'll go? Let me see. Let me see. Because what I want to do is give you, yes, I will do this. This is about Christmas with Dora and Angela, with Dora. And let me see here. One. Yes, that's a picture which I can show you. But we did quite a bit for Christmas here with Dora and Lino. And now we thought we'd take a break, but no, we want to welcome the new year. And I actually am doing short films now of our meetings, so we'll see how we go. We'll add other things as well, so stay tuned. Huh? And we will wish everyone a happy new year. 2023 might be a good one, with a lot of good health.
Buon anno.
Buon anno e buona fortuna.
Buona fortuna. Così è la canzone.
Così è la canzone. And maybe, before I read the poem, I'll play this one here, because obviously, I'm not going to be able to do as usual with as usual with the computer. So I will go to the next one. I'll go to the next one. Oh, I see. Next one is this one. Pardon me. Buon anno, buona fortuna. You start. Okay.
questo se ne va, sorge l'alba, sera ogni cuore che nel nuovo anno lieto sarà. Buon anno a te felice vita, buon anno alla spigliata gioventù, un'altra primavera è già sfiorita, buon anno a chi 20 anni non ha più, a chi sognando insegua la chimera, a chi nel cuore non ha speranza alcuna, la vita è bella ancora ti dice spera. Buon anno, buona fortuna.
Well, this one has stopped too. Oh dear, oh dear. We'll go to the next one. Let's see what happened here. It's like doing like radio.
Here we go, Remo, mezzanotte.
Yeah.
Buon anno, buona fortuna.
Buona
Ok.
We did it a few times.
Mezzanotte.
Oh, I see. No, I won't do that. Because we did it quite a few times, we couldn't get it right, and then I had to work it out somewhere else. Welcome to Anna Scudella. Oh, Anna, I'm having problems here, but anyway, welcome. Oh dear. All right, I'll go to my poetry first. Waiting for the computer. Let's see what happens. Okay, I just finished Canto 22 of Dante Alighieri, and now I'm going to my poetry. If you remember, I went to Swan Hill for a wedding, and on the way I wrote a few poems about weddings and about our journey there from Melbourne to Swan Hill. And this is riflessione, reflection. Respiro d'aria fresca, il ronzio di una macchina in corsa che rompe la pace e la solitudine, o la solitudine, come la vuoi chiamare. È un mondo che ti fa apprezzare il calore dell'umanità, terra australis, sotto la stella del sud, rifugio di emigrati di tutte le nazionalità. So that was the Italian part, and now the English. It's page 48, 1 second. Here we go. Breath of fresh air, the humming of the speeding car that breaks peace or solitude, however you want to call it. It's a world that makes you appreciate the warmth of humanity. Terra Australis under the Southern Cross, refuge of migrants of all nationalities. Now, Lake Boga, we get to Lake Boga, which was, now must have caused a lot of damage with all the storm, the flooding. Lake Boga. Ecco il lago Boga con le sue barchette, annuncia Swan Hill, un autobus della ferrovia ci viene incontro, ricordo del Pioneer Settlement, le esuli casette in mezzo al vasto verde, momento di civiltà, chissà se durerà. Here is Lake Boga, which is small boats. It announces Swan Hill. A railway bus comes towards us, memory of the Pioneer Settlement, the exiled small houses in the middle of the vast green, a moment of civilization. Who knows whether it'll last? It's almost like prophetic because, a lot of that area has been inundated. So things have been destroyed. Wow. So those are my poems for the moment. I'll try my best now with Dora, but my computer is not moving, It's not moving. So I have to do it this way here, like, you know, I'll do it this way. I'll do my best here, but we tried, well, I'll try this one here. Let's see.
All the acquaintance we forgot and never brought to mind. Should all the acquaintance be forgot and all playing sign? For all the sunny sign, my dear, for all the sunny we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all mankind, for all mankind. Should all the acquaintances be forgot and never brought to mind? Should all the acquaintances forgot and all lang syne? Oh, the forgot never to mind.
I'm actually going to stop it there because there were so many mistakes in this Old Lang Syne. I couldn't get it right, but I'm playing it anyway just to show you that to get to the better part, you know, some of the songs always come well, but some others are not. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't try or you shouldn't play, because I have conversations with people, oh, you know, you shouldn't do that, you know, unless it's perfect. But in education, we depend on people make mistakes so that you can be corrected. So if you want to help someone or professional, you let them make the mistake and then you improve. But in order to get to the right notes and the right way of doing any song, it needs a lot of practice as well. Whereas when I go to see Dora and Reno, we go straight into the songs because we're concentrating on the lyrics of the songs. So we're saying to people, listen, just go to Google or Safari or Chrome and, you know, get the lyrics of any particular song, and then you can go to YouTube, you can listen to the song there and sing. And I'm very happy to say that when I go dancing now, and last night was in one play, you know, at the Veneto Club, there were people who were singing. You know, it's good to hear people singing, and some of them were very good too, but except they haven't got the microphone in front of them. So that's it. Singing makes us happy, or, you know, make our spirit a bit lighter. So that's what it is. Now, I'll keep going. Come on. Yes. No. Yes. No, we won't do that. We won't do that. We'll do another one. Let's see what we've got here. We don't. No, I'll go to some of the Christmas songs that we did before Christmas, because, you know, they didn't get they didn't get the play that they deserved. Here is one.
Here we go, Reno. Bianco Natale. Un canto bien dal cielo e
Wow, that was good. Now, I think I've worked it out what to do. And let me see. Just got to be a bit patient. We're trying to work this out. How are we going, Tom? Yeah. Now, there's another one. Let me have a look at this other one. And if it works, then we're in business.
Dora, Rino, well, l'amore è un attimo.
Oh, this is a good one.
Okay, let's go.
Il mio cuore perché hai capito l'amore cos'è, puoi sorridi più bella tu sei, sono riflessi i tuoi occhi nei miei, come un fiore germogli per te, hai capito l'amore cos'è. L'amore è un'azione, vola seguendo il vento, ma con te l'amore è sentimento, l'amore è un'azione, vola seguendo te, con qualcosa di mio cuore paradiso.
Welcome to Tony Angiolini.
Il mio mondo si perde qualcuno, dove i prati diventano blu, fiumi d'erba sul campo, le chiuderò nel fiume, un molino che va, mi sorride dei perché tu sei, con riflessi e occhi nei miei, come un fiore che voglio perché. Hai capito l'amore cos'è, l'amore è un'azione, vola seguendo il vento, ma quando è acqua pesca, l'amore è sentimento, l'amore è un'azione, vola seguendo te, risponda al tuo sorriso. Io dove il paradiso incontra il tuo sorriso, io dove il
Oh, I've been able to, when there's a problem, we've got to solve it on the spot. And I'm doing just that now. It's fantastic, the fact that I can work it out with you there. And it's fantastic that, modern technology. So that was that one there. Now I'll have to pick up another one. Let me see. Yeah, this one here. Let me see this one.
This is Spanish lessons for me have been good. Okay, let's go. Feliz Navidad. Reno.
Okay, going back to Christmas.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
Well, that was another one. So there we go. We're working it out. It's working okay. So we'll see what happens now. Let me see. Hoopla, hoopla. Dear. This has been quite a journey for me, this Dante Alighieri, and I'm looking forward to it. And of course, coming back after these holidays, it's, after 3 weeks, I like to continue. It's so much better. But reflecting on Purgatorio itself, on the cantos that we've done, it just shows you Dante's vision was an incredible one. Going through hell, then Purgatorio, and then Paradiso. I look forward to seeing what he has to say in Paradiso. Because there, obviously people who went up there have either done their penance or they've gone there directly. I'm going to go a bit further back because I think we did, with Dora and Rena, we did a few other things. Here we go. Let me see. I'll choose at random because otherwise I'm not going to be able to enjoy your company. It's 12:28. Just one more. What about this one here? This one. What happens here? We'll see what happens.
Radar, stop. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your king. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. And bring it to our dear. God, good time, bring to you and your king. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. Oh, bring it right here. Good tidings we bring to you and your king. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We are lying like a figgy pudding. We are lying like a figgy pudding. We are all like a figgy pudding. With all its good cheer. Good tidings we bring to you and your king. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, I've sort of managed to finish off the hour on a good note and showing Reno and Dora there. It's important for me to do so. I want to thank those people who've come on today to see what I've done. You can see, the warts and all, but something comes out of all this, and that is the encouragement for you to take on the reading of Dante Alighieri's La Divina Commedia, and then you can see the difficulties that I've had in trying to grapple with this. But when you are in the third age, I think you can afford to be a bit more experimental with yourself and doing things that you haven't done before. In terms of the singing, I keep on repeating, this educational in nature. It's the lyrics of songs and introducing new songs. Also during the week, don't forget that there is on Tuesday now, when I was doing Italian lessons, I've done Italian lessons 1 to 60. I have stopped at 60 because I've done lessons 1 to 20 for grammar, then the practice 21 to 39 and 40 to 60. I've gone back to the Roman times and the origins of the language of Italian and the literature as well. And I will continue with a second series, but I'm giving myself a little bit of a break until I start lessons at the University of the Third Age again with French, Italian, and then I'm hoping for world history to have a small group there where we can discuss world history. That's it. My visits to the clubs will continue as well during 2023. So I've got a few resolutions and I hope I can carry them through. I just want to remember once again Tony Pantano for passing away yesterday. He's a great guy. He's now travelling in the paradise, I'm sure. And, the doors are open for him because he was a wonderful human being and a great entertainer too. And we'll miss him, but we have him on record with a lot of his songs. And I'm sure somebody will pick it up and renew the work that he did, that he was recorded for him. Okay, on that note, grazie mille, thank you very much. It's Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers. Once again, Happy New Year 2023.